Coming up on Valley View News, LAX becomes the first airport to allow the carrying of marijuana. Plus, LAUSD and UTLA members are in talks with the state mediator to avoid a walkout. And most adults are spending more time on their phones than they think.
Hello, welcome to Valley View News. I'm Brian Baruman.
And I'm Catherine Molina. California is the first state requiring corporations to have women on their board of directors. Governor Jerry Brown signed the law last week. At least one woman director must be on the boards by the end of next year. CSUN Women's Resource Center Director Zaira Brown and CSUN students shared their reactions to the new legislation.
We should have representation across the board and diversity across the board, and clearly we don't. Whether this was the way to do it or not, I don't know.
It benefits the companies too, because instead of the same people, making the same decisions, having the same ideology, it might be good to have a woman come in with a different approach or perspective.
Women have always been undermined in all aspects of our life, so I think this would be an opportunity for them to broaden their horizons.
The law also requires smaller companies to provide sexual harassment training. Political experts say the law is a direct result of the #MeToo and #TimesUp movements.
Some clarity now on marijuana in LAX airport. Marijuana is legal in the state of California, and that includes LAX, but not all areas of LAX. Entering a TSA checkpoint means entering jurisdiction covered by federal law, and marijuana is not legal under federal law. But the TSA says that while it makes note of illegal substances, it refers those notes to local law enforcement, and local laws can vary. Landing in LA, there's nothing to worry about, but landing in a state where marijuana isn't legal could lead to arrest.
Metro's directors voted to rename the bus and rail lines using letters or numbers instead of the colors used now. Most Metro lines are named after colors such as red, orange, and blue. Metro writers James Simmons and Art Jordan say they see no problem with the way it is now.
People are familiar with the colors. They know where they go. They know the red line is going to go down Wilshire and then to the valley.
There's already numbers on the buses, so it would be kind of different. It's easier with the color, and then the buses have the numbers.
But a report by the Metro staff says as the system expands, some newer colors will be hard to see on maps. Currently, there are 8 rail and bus lines in Metro systems. 8 more planned for the next decade.
California now has the nation's toughest net neutrality laws. Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill restoring Obama-era internet rules. The nation's net neutrality laws changed once President Trump took over. So now, the Department of Justice is suing California, saying federal interstate commerce laws also apply to internet commerce.
This is really unprecedented for the chief law enforcement of the United States to come out to California and act more like Fox News than a law enforcement officer.
The DOJ in California are headed to federal court over the issue. The case is expected to ultimately go to the Supreme Court.
The contract disagreements continue between LAUSD teachers and the LA Unified School District. Here's Valley View News reporter Isabel Ochoa with the story.
There have been ongoing contract negotiations between the UTLA Teachers Union and the LA Unified School District. Teachers and parents are informing the community on the negative impact charter schools have on public schools. High school teacher Jeff Harold explains the lack of resources at his school.
We want psychiatric social workers, we want librarians, we want a nurse at every school. Frequently, schools will have a nurse for 1 day of the week. So too bad if your kid gets sick on 4 of the other 5 days.
Harold says charter schools get more funding per school than public schools. He also says public school students get better test scores. Debbie Schneider, a resource specialist teacher at Arminta Street Elementary, explains how class sizes affect students.
Studies show that when you have smaller class sizes, you can reach more students because then they're able to get more, individualized attention.
Parents pay for their children to go to charter schools, while public school students are affected by the lack of money their schools get. Ultimately, that will affect the quality of education they'll receive. Harold explains.
This is one of our last ways for people of all colors, ethnicities, religions, genders, etc., to gain access to opportunity.
The community is invested in helping to improve the education system for their children. Parents are also willing to help LAUSD teachers in any way that they can. In Northridge, I'm Isabel Ochoa for Valley View News.
The first mediation meeting between the UTLA Teachers Union and the LA Unified School District took place last week, September 27th. Another mediation meeting was scheduled for October 3rd.
Do you spend more time on your smartphone than you should? A new study from the Pew Research Center says that adults are heavy users of cell phones. Valley View reporter Nicole Martinez has more on the story.
You've seen them, or maybe you haven't, because you're one of them.
I'm pretty obsessed with my phone. I'll be at work, I'll be in class. I'll even be at 3 in the morning just looking at my phone. I always am looking for like a notification, and I'll get like phantom little vibrations where I'll feel it and there's nothing there.
A recent study by Pew Research Center says that young adults are spending too much time on their smartphones. However, parents are also spending too much time staring at their screen.
I'll say something to my parents sometimes and then they won't even acknowledge that I talked to them, and I'll be like, did you hear me? And they're like, oh, sorry, I was like playing a game or something on my phone, or they're reading an article on their phone.
The Pew Research Center also found that not having your smartphone can make you feel anxious, lonely, and upset. Both groups are just as likely to get distracted with their phones.
Like they could be talking to me, and if I'm into my phone, then I'm just like looking at my phone, not paying attention to what they're saying.
Although most of us have access to smartphones like these, it's important to manage how much time we spend on them. In Northridge, I'm Nicole Martinez, Valley View News.
Today marks 1 year since the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Several hundred people gathered to honor the 58 people killed at the Route 91 festival in Las Vegas. Minda Smith's sister was among the dead. She said victims' families will never be the same.
We have all changed. We have all been broken. But we can find a way to pick up those pieces and glue it all back together.
Smith started a scholarship fund for some victims' children. She has contacted almost all of the families. The iconic Las Vegas Strip lights go dark tonight in remembrance of the shooting.
Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh faces assault accusations from Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. Valley View News reporter Sammy Shakta has more on how CSUN students are reacting.
CSUN's campus is silent as many students haven't followed the latest battle for the Supreme Court. Supreme Court Justice nominee Brett Kavanaugh testified last week in a loud hearing on Capitol Hill. He says his family is also affected by the sexual misconduct allegations against him.
My family's been destroyed by this, Senator. Destroyed. And whoever wants, whatever the committee decides.
Dr. Christine Blasey Ford accused Kavanaugh of sexually assaulting her in high school.
And because I was wearing a one-piece bathing suit underneath my clothing, I believed he was going to rape me.
During his testimony, Kavanaugh says he never once committed acts of sexual misconduct against Christine Blasey Ford or any other woman. Blasey Ford says she is 100% sure he assaulted her. A CSUN student says President Trump was too supportive of Kavanaugh while criticizing Dr. Ford.
He doesn't want to go forward with the allegations. I actually saw something yesterday that he was actually stating that why wouldn't they come out sooner? Like, why'd they wait so long?
As students continue their studying, Washington politics remain tense. Another CSUN student says Kavanaugh acts as if he did nothing wrong.
He doesn't want to come out like that, but you did something. I think he definitely did something, for sure.
Whichever way it goes, a final vote to confirm Kavanaugh will affect the whole nation, including many on this campus. In Northridge, I'm Sammy Shakta for Valley View News.
The FBI will now look into the accusations against Kavanaugh after President Trump approved an investigation.
Now here's Valley View's Daria Hariri with some entertainment news. Daria, what's going on with Kanye?
Definitely causing some controversy once again. The 44th season of Saturday Night Live premiered with musical guest Kanye West. Kanye caused controversy, again, this time because he wore a Make America Great Again hat. Most of Kanye's music routine wasn't included at the end of the show because producers started rolling credits. West was still performing when the show ended. Once SNL went off air, West continued on a pro-President Trump rant. It was caught on video by comedian Chris Rock, who put it on Instagram. Kanye was also seen talking about racism and how the nation needs to have dialogue and not a diatribe. President Trump later tweeted and praised Kanye West. In the past, Trump tweeted his dislike for Saturday Night Live. Rapper Lil Wayne released his album The Carter 5 on his birthday, September 28th. Before his album dropped, he released a 3-minute clip thanking fans for their patience.
My attitude coming out is I feel blessed. I feel like I've done something today, and that's always a good day.
He hasn't released an album since Free Weezy in 2015. The rapper said the album took 5 years to finish. The record faced several setbacks because of legal battles with his partner Birdman, the co-founder of Cash Money Records. Lil Wayne sued him for $51 million, hoping to be released from his contract. During the summer, the two men settled their differences. Wayne then became the sole owner of the label, now named Young Money. Female rapper Cardi B turned herself in to New York police this week. The Bronx rapper faced charges after an August brawl in a strip club. The 25-year-old may face misdemeanor charges. The incident also involved 8 other people who turned themselves in. The suspects allegedly threw chairs and bottles at 2 bartenders at the club. Cardi is being accused of directing the suspects to attack the 2 bartenders who happen to be called Jade and Batty G. Jade allegedly slept with Cardi's husband, Offset, which Jade denies. Universal's comedy, Night School, tops the box office with $28 million. It cost $29 million to make, and marks the biggest debut of the year for a broad comedy. The film stars Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart. Warner Brothers' new animated family film Smallfoot came in close behind, earning $23 million. Smallfoot has a star-studded voice cast of Channing Tatum, James Corden, Common, LeBron James, and Zendaya. Jack Black and Cate Blanchett's kid-friendly fantasy film, The House with the Clock in Its Walls, came in third, bringing in $12.5 million. All 3 hits made it a strong September box office, but still, the biggest September success goes to 2017's horror film, It. The original Broadway cast recording of Hamilton hit the Billboard 200 albums chart mark back in October 2015, and it never left. The album spent most of that time in the top 40. After 145 weeks, it's still on the Billboard chart, passing Adele's album 21 for the longest top 40 run since 1991. Hamilton debuted at number 12 on the October 2015 Billboard chart, eventually peaking at number 3 9 months later. It never ranked lower than number 60. That's all your entertainment news. I'm Daria Hariri.
More to come on Valley View News. An earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia has killed hundreds of people.
And the U.S., Canada, and Mexico finally reached an agreement replacing NAFTA. We'll be back after the break.
Hey there, Mrs. Carter. You can earn over 10% on your money if you deposit your savings into our investment program.
You are lucky sweepstakes winner.
Mrs.
Just
Carter,
enter your contact information and your winnings will
Grandma,
be
it's me. Please help me. I'm stuck in Ohio and my wallet was stolen. Please send me some money so I can get home.
Millions of people, especially seniors, are targeted every day by an array of fraudulent scams through online technology. Please be aware.
Leah, did you put a new dent in that?
This one? No.
Were you texting and driving again?
Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
CSUN campus newspaper, The Sundial, has been working hard on all sorts of stories.
For a preview into the next issue, here's The Sundial's editor-in-chief, Augustine Garcia.
Last week, The Sundial published a letter to the editor where a professor from Chicano and Chicana Studies talked about her disapproval about Executive Order 1100. Another story we also published was the disaster relief workshop. This workshop would teach students how to be ready for fires, earthquakes, and more, and what they should carry on with them. And towards the end of this week, the Sundial is going to have its first sports print edition. So if you're a sports fan, check that out on Thursday and Friday. That's it for the Sundial. Back to you guys.
Now for a look at what's going on around the world, and Maya Milan Wright is in the Digital Media Center.
Thank you, Brian. The U.S., Canada, and Mexico reached an agreement replacing NAFTA. The three countries pushed by President Trump wanted to reboot the NAFTA deal. U.S. and Canadian officials say they agreed to let U.S. farmers have better access to Canada's dairy markets. The three nations also addressed concerns about potential U.S. auto tariffs. This new agreement fulfills President Trump's campaign promise to change NAFTA. Trade representatives said the new NAFTA will strengthen the U.S. middle class by giving them better paying jobs. Hundreds of people were killed by an earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia. The earthquake collapsed buildings and cracked streets. The falling tsunami washed away homes and cars on the island of Sulawesi. Indonesia says 844 people are reported dead so far. Many are still missing. The earthquake was a magnitude of 7.5. The tsunami had 10-foot waves. Indonesia said an estimate of 2.4 million people were affected by the disaster. 600 people are hospitalized and 48,000 are displaced. Iran fired 6 missiles into eastern Syria this week. Dozens were believed to be killed and injured. The missiles hit just 3 miles from where U.S. troops were located. The Islamic Republic News Agency said the missiles and 7 military drones were launched from the Kermanshah, Iran. Recently, the U.S. released an intelligence report saying Iran might strike U.S. military forces in Syria. Prince William broke royal protocol recently while visiting Kenya. He actually hugged someone who isn't of the royal family. William hugged a young man who was named after him. The Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, didn't join the Duke on his 3-country African tour. She stayed behind to take care of their 3 children, but she'll make a solo trip to parts of Africa in the coming weeks. That is all for international news. Now back to Brian in the studio.
Thank you, Maya Milan. LeBron James made his much-anticipated debut for the Purple and Gold. For that story and more, here's Caitlin Bonmeter with sports.
Thanks, Brian. LeBron James made his debut for the Lakers Sunday night. They opened their preseason against the Denver Nuggets. James is entering his 16th season. He finished with 9 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds, despite only playing 15 minutes. Third-year forward Brandon Ingram led the team in minutes. He finished with 16 points. All smiles with the King and the new-look Lakers, but they lost 124-107. They'll have to turn it around quickly before the season starts October 18th against the Portland Trail Blazers. The LA Chargers bounced back to even their record at 500. They beat the San Francisco 49ers 29-27. Quarterback C.J. Beathard started for the first time this season after Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL last week. Running back Melvin Gordon put the Chargers up by 9 in the third quarter. He finished running over 100 yards. Quarterback Phillip Rivers threw for 250 yards with 3 touchdowns. Niners fought back with tight end George Kittle, catching 6 balls, totaling 125 yards to go along with this long touchdown. The Chargers clamped down on defense with a game-sealing interception by defensive lineman Isaac Rochelle. The Chargers are now 2-2. They trailed the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West. The Bears mauled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 48-10. Chicago Bears quarterback Michael Trubisky had a breakout game. The second-year quarterback totaled 354 yards through the air. He also ran a team-leading 53 yards on the ground. Quarterback Jameis Winston entered the game after serving his 3-game suspension. He finished throwing 2 picks with 145 passing yards. Winston was suspended after violating the NFL's personal conduct policy in the offseason. The Bears hold the lead in the NFC North heading into their bye week. Soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo is being sued over an alleged rape. 34-year-old Catherine Maioga says the Portuguese footballer raped her in 2009. They met in Las Vegas at the Rain nightclub at the Palms Hotel. The lawsuit claims Ronaldo invited Mayorga back to his penthouse, where he allegedly raped her. She also said he offered her $375,000 in exchange for her silence. Ronaldo denied the charges on Instagram. In golf, Europe won the Ryder Cup. The victory extended the U.S. road losing streak. Europe's Francisco Molinari was up 2 shots. He made a par 3 shot safely on the 16th green. Phil Mickelson, with his final shot, hit the ball straight into the water. He removed his cap and then surrendered the match to the Europeans. Celebrations on the European side started. More than 50,000 fans were on hand. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
Coming up on Valley View News, a teenager is in critical condition after a shark attack in San Diego.
Also, Elon Musk has to step down as chairman of Tesla after misleading investors. Stay with us.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Look at these boots.
Man, those are nice. You should buy them.
Half the price of the real thing. Do you want them?
The production and sale of counterfeit goods cause more harm than meets the eye.
Get to work!
And the profits can fund organized crime.
So, do you want them?
Buying counterfeit products?
No way.
It's just not worth it.
I came to CSUN to learn. I came to CSUN to grow. I came to CSUN to prepare. I learned to ask, to analyze, to communicate. I grew as a writer, a thinker, a citizen. I left CSUN prepared to participate, prepared to contribute, prepared to lead.
Aloha, I'm Linda Lingle, and I'm a matador.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
The Supreme Court refused to hear a case from a tech billionaire who blocked beach access through his property. In 2008, Coastal Ventures bought Martin's Beach for $32 million, then shut down access 2 years later. President of the Surfrider Foundation, Robert Cawlon, says access to the beach is important because it's a public treasure. A ruling in favor of coast law would have affected 22 states that have already granted the public the right to access beaches.
A 13-year-old boy is in critical condition after a shark attack. He was hunting for lobster on the opening morning of lobster season in Encinitas. It isn't known what kind of shark it was, but the boy was bitten severely across the torso. He was pulled from the water by 3 other lobster hunters in a kayak.
And I hear screaming. I thought it was
someone who caught some big bugs and is enthusiastic. So, woo, good for you. And he kept going. And then I realized that he was yelling, I got bit, help, help, help. And he's not even swimming towards shore. He's just swimming towards, our group.
Lifeguards provided first aid and the boy was airlifted to a nearby hospital. The beach was closed, but no more sharks have been seen since.
Elon Musk steps down as chairman of Tesla and FAFSA reaches new ways to stay connected.
Here's Chris Farias with social media, tech, and health news.
Thank you, Brian. A middle school in Mississippi sent nearly 50 students to the hospital with a mystery illness that includes some faculty and staff. Buddy King, the Winston County Management Director, says these illnesses remain a mystery.
We have suspicions that it's going to be secondary to vaping products, but as of right now, we do not have confirmation.
The school's district superintendent says some students admitted to taking a vaping substance. The school was tested for carbon monoxide and methane and found to be within normal limits. Even though dozens of students remain in the hospital, classes are still in session. A new poll says nearly half of the U.S. parents say their teens are having problems sleeping. A CS Mott Children's Hospital poll questioned about 1,000 parents asking what they think may be causing lack of sleep. Nearly half of the parents said their children have problems falling asleep or struggling to get back to sleep. Reducing caffeine, turning off electronics, including cell phones before bedtime, are recommended. CNN founder Ted Turner opened up about his Lewy body dementia diagnosis. Turner spoke to CBS Sunday Morning about his illness. Lewy body dementia is caused by protein deposits in the brain. They cause changes in the brain's chemistry, disrupting thought, behavior, and movement. Turner says the condition also makes him fatigue. He still practices yoga and continues to ride around his Montana ranch on horseback. College students can now apply for their FAFSA using their cell phones. The app called My Student Aid can be downloaded to Apple and Android phones. Federal officials say they hope using mobile technology will encourage students and parents to fill out the FAFSA application, especially if they don't have a computer at home. Elon Musk agreed to step down as chairman of Tesla and pay a $20 million fine. The announcement comes 2 days after the Securities and Exchange Commissions filed a lawsuit against Musk for misleading investors. It happened when Musk tweeted saying he secured funding to take Tesla private at $420 a share. The tweet caused the company's stock to decline. The SEC said never secured the funding. Musk accepted the deal with the SEC without admitting or denying the allegations. Musk will stay on as CEO but must leave as the chairman of the board within 45 days. That's it for social media, tech, and health news. Catherine and Brian, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. We'll leave you with this story. This week marks the beginning of National Pizza Month. But even outside October, people love pizza. In an online survey, 21% said pizza was their favorite food, beating out steak, hamburgers, and tacos. It's also the first choice for people to stray from their diets or indulge. The U.S. Department of Agriculture found in a 2014 study that every day, about 13% of the total U.S. population eats pizza. That's all for Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Brian Berumen.
And I'm Catherine Molina. For news any time of the day, go to our website sundial.csun.edu. See you next week.